Hello, and welcome back to the Nourish with Purpose podcast. If it sounds like a rocket is about to go off, that is my laptop. She's still with us. She's still working, but she's about to die. So we're just gonna stick with it until she does, and then that's that. But hopefully you can't hear that feedback through the mic. But I hope you're having a great Wednesday or whenever you're listening to today's episode. As always, if you haven't yet left a rating or review, I would just ask that you would either do that on either Spotify or Apple Podcasts. It helps the podcast out so much, and it makes me so happy to read those reviews. If you actually do complete a review, you'll get entered into a drawing for $100 gift card to whatever grocery store you frequent the most. So be sure to sign up for that. And the only way you're going to be able to get entered is if you leave a review. So really pushing the bounds there, but I really just want to get that feedback. I know there are so many of you listening, which every week when I look at the numbers, I just get so giddy. I truly am grateful that you're here, and I hope that you think of this time as a time to just relax, turn on a podcast that hopefully doesn't stress you out, and kind of not numb your mind, but because of course, we don't want to be avoiding things by numbing our mind, but in a sense, just taking this as a time to relax, or maybe you're going on a walk or getting active, whatever that is. I hope you really have been enjoying this time, because I know I definitely have. This is one of my favorite times of the week, and I really just love to be able to sit down, talk to you, and just get everything out. So let's catch up a little bit. What's been going on? Well, this last weekend would have been Easter. So we went to my grandma's, and it was really pretty relaxing. That's always a great gathering, good food, but we also just all hang out. It's kind of an all-day affair, which I love. And then on Saturday, I went to, first I went to Lincoln and met my friend Katie and her boyfriend Dalton for coffee. And that was just so good to see them. That's definitely a friend, Katie's my best friend from college, and it's one of those relationships where we just don't see each other that often, which is the worst. But at the same time, when we do get to see each other, it just makes me so happy. And she's actually going to be living with us for September and into January. Well, not into January, but again in January, because she's on a rotation for PA school. So I am so eagerly anticipating that time. I'm it's like we're going to be college roommates again. I'm just so excited. So that was great. And then we went to Omaha, and I went wedding dress shopping with my friend Hannah, and she found the dress. They get married next May. So that was just so much fun. It made me want to get married all over again and try on all these beautiful dresses. She found such a good one. And after that, just went grocery shopping. I finally got to go to Trader Joe's and Whole Foods. Those are grocery stores I don't get to frequent often. Usually it's just good old Walmart or the small grocery store in town. So to be able to go to Trader Joe's just really did something. It was great. Got groceries for the week. Felt good, honestly, to have Saturday to do kind of that grocery reset, knowing on Sunday we wouldn't really be making any meals other than breakfast at home. And then getting into Monday, I feel like I have enough things that I don't typically meal plan, although yes, I love when I do. I really like the creativity that comes when you just look in your fridge and you're like, okay, what can I put together? So tonight for supper, I'm recording this on Tuesday, so you'll listen to this tomorrow. But tonight I did sweet potato toast, I guess is kind of how I would explain it. Is the long way, I sliced sweet potatoes really thin. I did some olive oil, salt, pepper, a little bit of nutritional yeast, and garlic powder. Put that in the air fryer for about, maybe 12 minutes on roast. And then those got really soft, and we used that as our base. So instead of bread, we used the sweet potato. Then I did an avocado mashed with some seasonings. I did a marinated chicken on top, and then I just put some thyme on top to have that little herb moment. But it was delicious. Honestly, I was shocked with how good that was, and it was so fun and easy to make, and I'm all about that. I'm actually starting a new project that will make cooking ultra easy for somebody who really struggles with that in the kitchen. So I don't have any more details other than that. I know what I'm going to do. But my recipe guide this last time sold so well. And if you make any of those recipes and they work great for you and you love them, please send me pictures because that makes me so happy. I've had a lot of people tell me that the banana chocolate chip muffin recipe in there is the best. So I honestly don't frequently make that one. I use a lot of inspiration from that recipe guide and tweak things sometimes a little bit. So I need to go back to that, try it out myself, but I've heard rave reviews about it. So if you have the recipe guide, hard copy, it's going to be in there. And if you would like the digital copy, you can get it. It's on sale right now on my website for $20 and you can get the digital copy. But that went really well. And I just loved the creativity that went into that. And I think it's time to do something new. So keep an eye out for that. It's going to be a lot different than that recipe guide, but still so good. And I guess I shouldn't say a lot different. Anyway, oh well, don't need to go into that. Other than that though, for having a great Saturday, had that good reset, ate a good supper tonight. Just being creative in the kitchen. And I think that's when I really started to notice that making food was fun, is when I just viewed it as an opportunity to be creative and I viewed it as an experience. And I say that a lot and I tell my clients that a lot, is like, make it an experience, right? Rather than just eating to stay alive, which we all need to do, let's eat to actually enjoy the process, right? Light some candles while you're eating, and while you're making food, maybe you have some music going, or maybe that's your silent time. I notice oftentimes I have a podcast going, but like today, I feel like I had a lot of input this today, and really just with social media, I think finding that boundary is just a challenge for me. And so just overload, honestly. So when I was cooking today, I just had silence, and that was also really nice. So let's jump into how I'm nourishing my mind, body, and spirit. How I'm nourishing my mind is I am getting into reading, and I probably say this every time. I just feel like I go in such slumps. I was looking at people like doing the recap of March, and they were talking like, oh yeah, I read all these 10 books. This is how they ranked. I'm like, holy Toledo. I read like maybe 2 books in March. And that was a lot for me. So props to people that can read more than 5 books in a month, because to me that's insane. But I started a new series by Colleen Hoover, and I've heard people say they don't love her books because they can get kind of graphic and they're, I don't know, very romantic, right? But I started her series Slammed. So I read the first book in 2 days. Last night, I could not fall asleep. Usually when I put my blue and green light glasses on, I'm out as soon as I start reading, but I was hooked. And I finished the first book of the series, and I'm not sure what the second book is called, but I started that. But I read from like 8:30, 8:45 to midnight. I just could not put it down. And usually books are not like that for me. Even finishing The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, that was a great book, but like I could have put it down and not picked it up again. But this series is so addictive. And so I'm just like eagerly awaiting reading again tonight, which having that feeling, like, you know, with that feeling when you have a good book, you just want to keep reading it all day long. That's where I'm at. So that is so fun. It's so exciting to be in that mindset. It's so nice to not watch TV before bed and read. I'm just really loving that. How I'm nourishing my body is I went for a run on Sunday with my dad, and I feel like this was a very healing experience, not because my dad ever forced me to go out and run. Well, no, he didn't. He just encouraged me to be active and to be an active kid, especially as I got into junior high and high school. But my dad, if you didn't know, has had 2 or 3 back surgeries, and he has drop foot on his right side. And so he has a really hard time like picking up that foot and running. Long story short, he's actually started running again, which I think is in itself just the coolest thing. And so I invited him to come running with me on Sunday morning before we went to church for Easter. And we went 4 miles together. I have gone back into running a little bit. Last week, honestly, was the start of that. But the most he had gone was 3. So we started out and pushed it to 4. It was just really nice. When we were wrapping up, he obviously, like, if you've only ran 3 miles and you haven't run for years, like anything more than that's going to feel like a lot. But the last like 200 yards, I'm like, all right, if you want to be a good 400 runner, you're going to sprint this. Because when I was in like junior high and high school, he would encourage me to go run poles. So like we've got those poles, electric poles, I think that's what you call it. Anyway, but you would run one and then walk one, or you would do like a run, jog, sprint, run, jog, not run, jog, walk, jog, sprint, walk, jog, sprint for like, I don't know, a long distance. And it killed me. It was so hard. And when I was younger too, I remember he would just really push me to go out and run with him. So I'm like, it was just really fun to be running with him again. Both of us, obviously, you know, probably my story. If you haven't, go back and listen to the first episode ever of the podcast, to give kind of my raw and real health story or health journey. But for both of us to have back issues and now to be able to run together was just really cool. And I'm hoping that we can keep doing that in the future. And then how I'm nourishing my spirit is, I really think this last Sunday, I guess there's a couple things. Easter is always a holiday that just like makes me, I mean, I love spring. I love everything around Easter, but it really is such like a sad holiday if you think about Good Friday and the whole prosecution of Jesus on the cross and how brutal that was. And when you truly think about the brutality of that, I was telling Nathan on our way to church on Sunday, I'm like, there's just nobody like Jesus now that would sacrifice himself in that way and do it in such a graceful way, right? Like, it wasn't an eloquent way of dying by any means, and he didn't make it look all wonderful and easy, but at the same time, like, he did that so selflessly. And I know, obviously, there's nobody in society this day and age that could do that, obviously, because there is no Jesus in this day and age. But just the level, like, if we were to witness that now, I just can't even comprehend what that experience would be like. So just that whole sacrificial love is always just overwhelming. And then to get to Sunday and know the good news and that we have been saved and that our sins are forgiven, like, it just feels like you're being washed clean every Easter. You know, even if maybe you've been on a rocky spiritual journey or you haven't been consistent with devotionals and prayers and going to church, whatever that is, I hope that Easter felt like just you were washed clean and that you truly felt so loved and cared for, because you are. That's something that I think we take for granted a lot of the times. You know, we just keep living life until we have a holiday where we actually have to like sit with the whole grief of the experience. And then we're, you know, so happy on Easter because, I mean, obviously, because there's just so much good that happens with Easter and just what it symbolizes. But I always think holidays like that give you that kind of harsh reminder are really great. They're really refreshing, and it just helped me to kind of reset in what I want my intentions to look like on my own spiritual journey and how I want to implement more religious practices in my day-to-day and what that could look like. It just always is a time for reflection. And so that's really what I'm doing, just reflecting. I haven't started this yet, but this is something I would like to add into my routine, is watching The Chosen. I know that's a series. I think it's on Angel Studios that produces it, but you can watch the whole series for free. I also know it's on YouTube, but it shows the whole life of Jesus. And I would really like to start that with my husband, Nate, and have that kind of be our show to watch in the evenings. I listen to the That's the Point podcast with John and Kristen. And they were talking about how, well, John was saying how The Chosen has transformed his life, completely transformed it. Just by implementing that before he goes to bed. He goes to bed just at ease, and through his dreams, he feels so close to God and so connected because he's dreaming about the show. Anyway, I just think it would be really cool. So if you've started that or if you love the series, let me know, because I'm very interested and very intrigued by the whole series and would love to start that. At age 18, I was told I needed to have back surgery. This was then followed with 2 rounds of steroid injections that didn't work and 2 different pain medications that eventually had my kidneys not functioning properly. I lived with chronic pain for 2 years before I really identified what was going on and how I could minimize the symptoms. So I have 2 fractured vertebrae and a bulging disc, which I still live with today. But what I've learned is how to minimize the overall inflammation in my body. I do this through the use of the anti-inflammatory diet, which is also what I help clients with. What's crazy is there are 7 different areas that inflammation can show up in your body, from brain and nervous system to detoxification system to musculoskeletal, which is what I dealt with, along with digestive inflammation. There's truly so many symptoms or signs that can come along with this. I think the hardest part for people is identifying the root cause, which is why I also add in the inflammation assessment during our initial call. So we know what we're working on, we know where inflammation is showing up in your body. And then from there, after 24 weeks or throughout 24 weeks, we work towards minimizing the symptom. So I designed my one-on-one coaching program, Nourish to Flourish, so you could feel your best physically, mentally, and internally by focusing on all 3 components that make up a truly balanced lifestyle: your mind, your body, and your spirit. So we examine how different foods affect your body, intolerances you might have, and through the use of the anti-inflammatory diet, we work towards reducing the signs of inflammation and stress in your body. So if you're noticing bloating, constipation, abdominal cramps, painful periods, chronic pain, swelling, acne, water retention, trouble sleeping, low energy, joint pain, fatigue, the list goes on, we truly can work together to minimize those symptoms and truly transform your health. So if you're interested, DM me, email me, message me the word Nourish, and I will send more information your way. Feel good in your skin, never count calories again, and heal your body and your relationship with food. Let's nourish to flourish. All right, well, let's jump into the bulk of today's episode. We are doing a spring cleaning checklist. And before you start feeling overwhelmed with the whole process of cleaning, I'm going to break it down very tastefully. I actually created a form. You can fill it out. It'll be linked in the description of today's episode, but it'll also be linked on my Instagram and Facebook profile. If you click on that Linktree link, it'll take you to the place where you can download the spring cleaning checklist. If you have a hard time finding it, just shoot me a message and I'll send it your way too. But the reason that I really wanted to do the spring cleaning checklist is because I, for one, know that if I don't make intentional time to clean, it probably won't happen. And I think there's no better time to do it than spring, right? There's new life, there's new growth, the grass is getting green. If you live somewhere where it's always warm, this doesn't pertain to you, but here in Nebraska, the grass is getting green, there's buds on the trees, my tulips are starting to come to life, my veggies that I'm growing downstairs, my basement are growing, I saw bunnies running by our chickens, and I know if you go to a Bomb Guards, you can see and hear all the baby ducks and baby chicks. And I just really, really love the month of April. It honestly might be my favorite month of the year just because there is new life and it's so prevalent around us. It also rains, and not that I love the gloominess of rain. I just love that everything feels clean after that. And so I think with that, we should really be turning a new leaf, right? Getting rid of all the dread and seasonal depression that winter maybe brought on. For me, it was just I guess luckily winter was pretty mild, but for me, I do not do well in winter. I absolutely hate being cold. I hate it being gloomy. I hate snow, and really not a good location to be living for that. But nonetheless, I stick around because obviously my family and friends are here. But I think there's just so much excitement that should come with spring, especially because we know the next season is summer, and it'll be time to just get outside. You can start wearing shorts and dresses and not be worried about being so cold. just everything about it makes me so happy. I think that's why I wanted to also start running this spring, because I know it's going to be warm again. It's just such a good way to get outside. Walking outside after I eat is great, especially if I do that with Nate. We call that a post-nourishment walk. It's just such a good way to catch up from the day. The sun is setting so much later, just everything about it. But the symbolism of spring cleaning is just, like I said, turning that new leaf, right? Winter's gone, spring is here with fresh new life. Let's make a fresh, clean environment for ourselves. And I feel like in the last year, I've lived through the thick of chaos. We actually started demo on this house almost exactly a year ago. We tore up all the carpets, all the baseboards. We got the floors refinished. We painted walls. What did we do? We tore out a kitchen later this winter, and redid that, and it's still not finished, and we still don't have baseboards. And I mean, your space can feel so cluttered and it can feel so overwhelming. And for me and Nate, we both really love to be clean physically, but we also love to have a clean space. That was something when we were dating, we were saying we were going to have to argue over fight over who gets to clean, because we both really just like a clean space. And that's something I'll say now is I cannot always guarantee that our house will be clean, but I can almost always guarantee that it's going to be organized and tidy. That's something I know. If I see chaos around me and I see clutter, I shut down. I can't do it. And a prime example of this is Nate's office. He still has some stuff in there that we haven't moved down to the basement, or old kitchen stuff that I was like, I can't have this in my eye of vision, or in my line of vision, because I just cannot look at this. So we moved into his office, which he luckily was okay with for a while. So my office can be pretty clean, pretty organized. I still have things on the floor that drive me crazy, but for the most part, we're doing well. Same with when we did our kitchen renovation. Our dining room became our kitchen, and that period of time for a little while was fine, but long term absolutely drove me crazy. So now we have countertops, and I feel like now is the time to deep clean. We have fresh new countertops. We've got new flooring in the kitchen. It's time for me to get to business. And maybe you're feeling that way too. Maybe this winter you let your space just kind of explode, and you maybe spent more time with friends and family than you did cleaning, or you've been moving and you just know you've got all those boxes. You have not put things away. I was even downstairs in our basement looking through boxes. I'm like, we have all of these things that we still have not found a home for. And it's like, then why do we have them? In the last 10 months, have I looked at them? No, why am I still storing this? So I'm very much in the mood to purge. When spring comes, I'm ready to get rid of things, because I know in summer, I want to be able to be outside and walk in to a clean house, right? With gardening and all of that, it's not the most clean hobby. So to be able to come inside and feel like my space inside is just clean and tidy, that just makes me so happy. So I've created a 7-day spring cleaning checklist, because for me, I know if I was to look at everything on this list and be expected to do that in one day, I would feel extremely overwhelmed. So we're going to start very gradual, but I just want you to think about how the space around you affects your mindset. I say, a tidy space is a clean mind. A messy space is not a dirty mind, but a cluttered mind. Because if you think about it too, if you have all these inputs, so I kind of could compare it to social media, right? You're on social media, and then you get a text, and then you get an email, and then you get a Snapchat, and then you get a notification that your iCloud storage is low, and then you get a notification from Bubble Pop that you haven't played whatever game you've got on your phone. Okay, that was a very niche example. I actually downloaded Bubble Pop. That's so embarrassing to say out loud, because I wanted to stop scrolling, but I wanted to have something to do when I just wanted screen time. I don't know. I should just get off my phone rather than downloading a game that children play. But nonetheless, it's deleted now. But for a period of time, I did have that, and I'd get notifications, and it just drove me crazy. And so if you think about that, it's like your brain is going to feel so overwhelmed. There is way too much going on. Very similar to if you look at your space and you see a pile of clothes on the floor that you haven't put away, and you see hangers that obviously you haven't used, and then you see a dying plant beside that, and then you see your diffuser that you haven't filled with water in a long time. It probably has mold you should probably go through. And then you see your book bag and you're like, oh my goodness, I probably have so many things in that book bag that I don't need anymore, but I haven't cleaned it in like 2 years. Like, ooh, yeah, your brain starts spiraling, especially if you add an unmade bed on top of that. It's enough to drive me insane. And so having all of those things that you can see that you haven't done, it just creates that overwhelm. So we want to just create a space that is like tidy, it's picked up, it feels clean, you feel comfortable. I think that was a huge thing for me, especially living through renovation, is just having a space in my home where I could feel comfortable. And I feel like that's kind of been my office, especially now as I've added in a mirror and a big plant. Like I think I could come here and feel very comfortable. Although a lot of chaos was happening outside of here, this space I tried to feel clean. And, I think if you live with roommates, this might look a little differently for you. I know when I lived in an apartment with 3 other girls, it was like I would go crazy. And when I was stressed, I would just start cleaning because it's just harder to keep things clean when there's more people. And so maybe for you, it looks like always keeping your room clean, keeping your bed made, or keeping your bathroom clean, whatever you need to do. So if you're living with somebody else that maybe isn't quite as tidy, you at least have that clean space around you to go into and to relax and study and read and just exist and not feel overwhelmed. So remember that a cluttered space is a cluttered mind. So let's minimize the clutter. Let's also, I think if you feel like everything around you is dirty, you never feel clean. That feeling to me is just, again, it bothers me. Like I want to enter a space and just feel comfortable. So that's what we're doing. Okay. So let's get into it. I've rambled enough about my quirks and my cleanliness tendencies maybe. I just really like to feel clean, right? Even if you think about like the end of a long day when you haven't showered and maybe you worked out in the morning and then didn't shower and then you were outside in the wind and then, like that grime on, like no. And if you think of your space is probably just that dirty. So let's clean it up, right? So jumping into day 1, we are starting with the floors and carpet. So your task here is to vacuum the area first, even your hardwood floors, hot mop or scrub the hardwood floors. This is something I desperately need to do. I actually got like a wet hot mop, I think is what you call it, steam mop for Christmas, and I haven't used it, but we have only hardwood floors in this house actually, with the exception of a rug, and so it needs a deep clean. I need to do that so badly, and I have definitely been putting it off, but we're not doing that anymore. I'm not doing that anymore. So then after that, you're going to clean the carpets and clean stains if needed. I have a dog. I know carpets can get stained. I know couches can get stained. Clean it up, right? Do what you can to clean up that stain. Again, I think a lot of the time when you've got pets or you have kids, it's like, oh, we'll just come back to that. And then we never do. So let's come back to it. Let's clean up that stain if it needs it. And that is your end of day 1. For day 2, we're tackling the kitchen fridge and your freezer. Oof, my freezer is terrifying. I've got so many veggies and fruits that I've gone on a trip and I've just like put into a bag to freeze, thinking I was being proactive and, trying to utilize everything I have, and they ended up just getting freezer burnt. So I need to just toss them to the chickens and let them enjoy them. But I desperately need to clean out my freezer. Luckily, my mom, when we were in Boston, she cleaned out our fridge, which it needed it so bad, and it probably needs it so bad again. Even just thinking of like the handles of your fridge and the front of your fridge, like, all of that just needs a good wipe. So you're going to clean out old and expired food and condensed containers. So I think it's most effective to take everything out of your fridge, everything. Wipe everything down, look at, the expiration date, see if it's good. If you've got 2 jugs of oat milk, like can you minimize it and just put it all into one jug? Or that was a weird example, but things like that. Can you just condense everything? Okay, throw out those leftovers in the back of your fridge that nobody's going to eat. And then toss out those freezer burnt foods like I had mentioned, and then wipe off the drawers, handles, and shelves on the outside and inside of your fridge. Okay, that's the end of day 2. Day 3, we are tackling the bathrooms. We luckily or unluckily have one bathroom right now, so we really just have to, it's so tiny. When I tell you it's small, it is small. So there's not a lot to clean. It doesn't take all that long, but cleaning the toilets and cleaning the base of the toilet. So like you got the part that you sit on underneath that, okay? Because that base of your toilet probably has so many like hairs and dust that just needs to be wiped off. You're going to scrub the shower, and like when your shampoo bottles sit in your shower and they leave like a ring underneath them because the soap like drips off, you're going to scrub that. Okay, I know you've probably been looking at it every time you replace that bottle of shampoo. We're going to scrub that off. Cleaning the sink and the drain. So I'm a very non-toxic household, and I use an all-purpose cleaner that is very, very simple, but I will still and always use Drano because that stuff gets things out of your drain. Think of all the hair and grime in your drain that needs to be pulled out. Drano is a great product for that. You're going to do that. You're going to wipe off the baseboards in your bathroom. So think about the dust and the hair and just things I don't even want to think about. On those baseboards, you're going to scrub those. You're going to restock supplies. So if you need to replace the toilet paper, if you need to, again, condense moisturizers or lotions, or throw out that perfume that you probably shouldn't be using on your skin, or if you have makeup that is crusty and old and expired, toss that out. And then washing bath mats and your shower curtain if you can. I feel like that's something that should be done much more than once a week, not once a week, once a month. It should be done pretty frequently. For sure, that shower mat, maybe, especially if you have kids and dogs and I know when we give Luna a bath and then we let her dry, like she still has mud on those paws, like we try to get off. Anyway, that all just needs to go in the wash. So doing the washing bath mats and curtain is very important. It's just going to make it all just feel so clean. Okay, that's the end of day 3. Day 4, we're tackling the bedrooms. So taking all of your clothes out of your dresser drawers. This seems very intimidating, but this is the one task you got to do today, okay? You're taking everything out and you're refolding it, and then you're donating what you haven't worn, what doesn't fit you anymore, or what you just are tired of looking at. It's going in a donation pile, okay? Then you're going to strip the bed and wash all of your sheets, and then dust off furniture and, again, those baseboards. I think of our dresser in our room. It's always picked up. It's always tidy. There's never typically clothes sitting on top of our dresser for long amounts of time, but it's dusty. I know it's dusty, and especially like the areas where I have my jewelry and I have little trays for my jewelry, that all just needs a good wipe. So I think the biggest thing with all of that is taking your stuff out of your drawers and refolding it. If that's the one thing you focus on, that should be it, because I can think of so many clothes that I've had, I'm not kidding, since high school, that just need to go. I don't need to keep them for nostalgic reasons anymore. I'm tired of looking at them. I'm tired of wearing them. They're outdated. They're not in style. They've got to go. That is one that I know I for sure will be doing. All right, so day 5, we're tackling your closet. So hanging up all the clothes that are on the floor or they're elsewhere. I know about once a week I have to do this. I've got clothes because we have a chair in our bedroom. I just pile that sucker up with clothes, or if Nate's done our laundry, I just need to put all that stuff away. So finally putting that away. And then also organizing your clothes by color and style. I'm a little OCD, so this is something that I've done since I was a kid. My mom kind of showed me, and I really just now continue to do that. But it's like having all of your workout tank tops, then your dressy tank tops, and then your nice shirts, and then your t-shirts, and then your nice long sleeves, and then your more like exercise top long sleeves, and then your workout jackets and your nice jackets, and then you've got your short dresses and your sleeveless dresses, and then your long dresses or your dresses with sleeves. I prefer to go by style of clothing. And then I'll do like skirts and then shorts and then long pants. And I'll usually separate like my denim from my black denim from like my leather pants that I have, or like the funky patterned pants, colored pants. That is getting very organizational, but I really think it's helpful when you're looking for something, you know exactly where to go rather than just having like chaos in your closet. Also think about underneath all those clothes. So have you just thrown clothes into a pile that you were sick of wearing? Put that in that donation bin or bag. Get rid of things if you don't want to wear it. I know for me, kind of a goal for April is to thrift some more colorful clothing items that I love, or even just buy some. I always am shocked when I go into American Eagle, which I'm also like, okay, I'm kind of on the cusp of like not wearing, like American Eagle is not really age appropriate anymore, but I'm shocked by like how their clothes fit me. They fit me really well, and they've got such a good selection of pants. So I honestly might keep on wearing American Eagle. I'm 25, but I feel like I shopped at American Eagle when I was in junior high. So it's like, I don't know if it's age appropriate or not, but nonetheless, I found really good things there. They've got some really good shorts this year. They're like longer. I don't know. I just know there's some pieces like that I want to invest in because I look at my closet and there's some things that are just so repulsive. I'm like, I cannot look at those things anymore because I've worn them since high school, or I've had them since I was a freshman in college. Like those items, it's okay to part with them, right? And I know that. I just think of like, well, what if I need a black long sleeve shirt and I get rid of this one because it's stretched out and I haven't worn it? Like, just get rid of it, right? You know, worst case scenario, you go thrift something new or you buy something new and it's even better quality and it lasts you another 5 years. So that's something I really want to do, is just organize my closet and really condense what I have so it's colorful, everything I feel comfortable in. I feel like things look good on me, and that's just really what I want my closet to resemble. And then if you have shoes in your closet that are dirty, I know I just did this weekend, is I just scrubbed my tennis shoe soles because they get so dingy, especially coming out of winter. But like, wash those shoes. You can also wash them in the clothes washer and then you just let them air dry. That's something my mom always did a lot when we were kids, and it actually works. You just take out the shoelaces but wash them like normal. It's super loud and obnoxious, but it does get your shoes super clean. All right, so that's the end of day 5. Moving into day 6, you're focusing on the family room or the living room. So this means removing all couch cushions and vacuuming your couch or chairs. If you don't have a couch, maybe you've got some chairs. You're going to fluff the pillows and the cushions once you put them back, and then wash all of your blankets. I don't even want to say how long it's been since we've washed the blankets that we use in our living room. I could try to defend myself and say, hey, you know, we only use them after we've showered. Like, we're clean when we use these blankets, but nonetheless, it's disgusting. So those definitely need to get cleaned. I know that is on top priority for me, is to make sure all of our blankets are fresh and clean. Okay, last day is day 7. This is just a random. So you could add anything to your list, but I did brainstorm 3 things that you could add in on day 7 because these are ones that I know I definitely neglect and I want to make sure I get to. This first one is going to be to go through your book bag and purse and organize them. So if you've got papers in there, maybe you don't have a book bag. For me, I have a work bag. I still call it a book bag, but a work bag. Go through that, throw out things you don't need, throw out the random pen that doesn't work anymore. Just make those bags feel clean and tidy and that everything in there is a necessity. Next is wash makeup brushes or organize your makeup and products. So I know what day was that? Day 3, you were supposed to really go through those things, but now you're washing the brushes. You're throwing out old makeup. Maybe you're upgrading to a non-toxic or a less toxic makeup brand. I use Say. That is one that I really like. And I've kind of switched over to their products, and that's really the only one that I use. I don't wear a lot of makeup, but if I do, it's typically going to be that brand. That's just something that I've gradually done. I think we all have those moments where we go into Sephora and we're like, all right, we're doing this today. We are getting all the new makeup that we haven't gotten. For me, that's honestly like a one-time a year thing. But I did that when we were in Boston. And then I guess I did that when we were, I guess it was probably last October. Is I went in and I'm like, I just need to get the products I know I need. I know that are good quality. They aren't going to be pore clogging, and kind of upgrade my makeup. Last one is to sort your pantry and toss out expired, or I said toxic food, but I don't want to have any negative. Toxic sounds very negative, but really just the foods that you look at and you're like, I shouldn't be eating this. Like, this isn't good for me. It doesn't make me feel good. Throw it away, right? If something doesn't make you feel good, that's kind of what I mean by toxic. It's not going to kill you by any means, but that food isn't making you feel good. Therefore, your body is not utilizing it. It's not absorbing the nutrients. So why are you still consuming it? Kind of those kinds of foods. So maybe if you're in the Inflamed to Inspired group, and that's the group program that I'm running right now, and you've learned more about what anti-inflammatory foods are, what inflammatory foods are, go through and kind of sort out what your pantry looks like. Is it more on the inflammatory, highly processed food side, or do you feel really good about the processed foods in your pantry? Kind of do a spectrum of what you would like to find a swap for, and research or go to Walmart and look at labels and find a swap for those products then. Doesn't mean be wasteful and throw everything out because maybe it doesn't make you feel good or you want to make a complete 180 with your diet. Gradual is best. So don't throw everything out. Use it in smaller amounts if you don't feel good or if you know it's not the best product for you. Just don't be consuming that every single day. Otherwise, work through that product and then replace it with something better when you need to. Okay? Well, how are we all feeling? Do we feel overwhelmed? I hope not. I'm feeling excited. Honestly, talking about this made me excited to actually clean my house and tackle these darn little tasks that I know I haven't done in way too long. They're long overdue, and this is just the best time to do it. So that's really all that I have for you today. This is a shorter episode, but I hope that you find the spring cleaning checklist helpful. Send me photos of you cleaning. Send me updates of what your space looks like, before and afters, all the things. I love to see it. I would love to be a part of your life if you're enjoying the podcast and you're like, hey, I want to follow along with your life outside of the podcast. You can find me at Nourish with Bailey on Instagram, Bailey Seaton on Facebook. I'm also Nourish with Bailey on TikTok and YouTube. I'm not on either of those platforms very much, but Instagram is probably the best place to reach me. Send me, a clip of you getting everything clean. Before and afters are my favorite videos to watch. So I would love to see how this spring cleaning checklist helps you and helps you just create a clean environment so you feel mentally and physically just decluttered. Your space feels serene and like a space that you want to just spend time in, and that you just feel comfortable there. So with that, let's go ahead and close today's episode in prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for today. Thank you for the sun and how it's shining so frequently now. I just thank you that we're entering spring and we're entering a season of new life. I pray that that just gives us new energy and new excitement around this season and around what's going on in our lives. I pray for whoever is listening to this episode that they just continue to feel supported and encouraged and uplifted every time they leave this podcast, and that they know that they are wonderfully made by you, that they are so loved and deeply cared for by you, and that they sense that and that they feel that, and that not only from you, but from the people around them, that they just continue to show your love to other people, and that this new season is just such a season of positive growth and positive change for them. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. All right, so thank you again for joining me on the Nourish with Purpose podcast, and I'll talk to you again next Wednesday. Bye.